So, let's talk about something huge: how the state of Bihar took on the massive challenge of modernizing its entire financial sector. We're talking about bringing banking to every single person. It's an amazing story of ambition and really clever innovation. So, let's dive in and see exactly how they did it.
Okay, to really get a feel for the challenge here, just look at this. By 2025, almost half of all bank branches in Bihar are in rural areas. Now, that sounds pretty good, right? But it also means that for millions and millions of people, getting to a bank is a really long and often expensive trip. That physical distance, that's the core problem they needed to crack.
And that brings us to the central question of this whole transformation. I mean, think about it. Building those brick and mortar banks is slow, it's expensive, but the need for banking services is right here, right now, and it's everywhere. So what do? You have to get creative. Well, what they did was they adopted a really smart two-pronged approach. The idea wasn't to throw out the old system, not at all. It was about adding something new on top of it, something faster, way more flexible, and with a much, much bigger reach. And this is where the data tells a really incredible visual story. On the left, you see the traditional bank branches. It's a nice, steady line, respectable growth. But then, you look at the chart on the right for customer service points, or CSPs. That's not just growth. That's an explosion. I mean, this just puts it in perfect perspective. You can see the strategy just pivots so dramatically. In just a handful of years, they went from a few CSPs to a point where, for every single traditional bank branch, there were more than 6 of these new service points. This was the secret sauce to unlocking financial inclusion on a massive scale. So this brings us to the real hero of our story, the CSP. You can think of them as the foot soldiers of this banking revolution, literally taking financial services out to the most remote corners of the state. So what exactly is a CSP? Well, think of it like a mini branch. It's super low cost, often run by a local agent that everyone in the village knows. It's not a full-service bank, of course, but it handles all the essentials: opening an account, depositing cash, making a withdrawal. They are the absolute bedrock of what we call last-mile connectivity, that critical final link between a big bank in the city and a family living in a tiny village. 70.6%. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's the growth in the number of these customer service points between 2021 and 2025. Over 70%. It's a staggering figure that shows a complete rewiring of how banking gets delivered. And this wasn't just about giving people a place to put their money. It was about creating a whole new ecosystem. The number of point-of-sale terminals, those little machines you use your card on, grew by an unbelievable 261%. Suddenly, the local tea stall or the village shop could accept digital payments. That's a game changer. That's bringing the digital economy right to their doorstep. Okay, so they built all this amazing infrastructure. The pipes were all laid. But the big question is, so what? Did it actually make a real difference to the economy? Let's look at the data and see how this access translated into actual economic activity. All right, so this chart shows something called the credit to GSDP ratio. In simple terms, it just measures how much money is being loaned out compared to the size of the state's entire economy. And you see that steady climb? That's huge. It means credit isn't just growing with the economy, it's growing faster than it. The system is actively pumping more financial fuel into Bihar's economic engine. And the big headline numbers totally back this up. We're seeing these massive jumps in both deposits and credit. But honestly, the most important part is that last point. The credit is flowing to priority sectors like agriculture and small businesses. That means this new financial power is going straight to the heart of Bihar's economy. Okay, but here's the thing. Whenever you see lending grow this fast, a little alarm bell should go off in your head, right? Is this growth sustainable? Is the banking system itself actually healthy? To figure that out, we need to talk about something called a non-performing asset, or NPA. Don't worry, the concept is simple. An NPA is basically just a bad loan, a loan that isn't being paid back. A high percentage of these is a major red flag for any banking system. And this is what is so incredible about this story. While all this massive lending was happening, the percentage of bad loans was actually going down. It dropped from almost 12% all the way to 7.6%. This proves that banks weren't just lending more, they were lending smarter. That's the sign of a healthy, maturing financial system. And if you want a perfect example of this in action, look at the loans given to self-help groups. These are small, community-based groups. The default rate in Bihar is just 1.1%. That's way lower than the all-India average. It's powerful proof that when you give people at the grassroots level real access to finance, they use it incredibly responsibly. So look, the progress here is just undeniable. It's been a huge success. But the story isn't over, not by a long shot. As with any big transformation, success just reveals the next set of challenges you have to tackle.
And to really get our heads around this next chapter, there's one last concept we need: the credit deposit ratio. It's simple. It asks, for every 100 rupees deposited in Bihar's banks, how many of those rupees are being loaned back out to people and businesses inside Bihar? A higher ratio is what you want, because it means local savings are fueling local growth.
And wow, this table really lays out the next big challenge in black and white. Bihar's ratio is sitting at 53.5%. The national average is over 80. So to put it simply, that means for every 100 rupees saved in Bihar, only about 53 are being put back to work in the state. A big chunk of that local money is flowing somewhere else. So you see the puzzle here, right? Bihar has done this incredible job of building all the pipes and channels for financial inclusion across the entire state. The infrastructure is there. The challenge now is to open the tap all the way, to make sure the amount of credit flowing through those pipes actually matches the state's huge economic potential. And that's really the big question we're left with. Having brilliantly solved the problem of access, how does Bihar now solve the problem of absorption? How does it make sure that all the credit that's waiting in the system actually flows out to energize every farmer, every entrepreneur, and every household? The foundation is rock solid, but the next crucial phase of this transformation is just getting started.